The other day, somebody asked me a question and I paused because my initial reaction was that I was going to give some sort of bullshit excuse. Because the reality is, in that particular question that was being asked, I hadn't delivered the results that I was hoping to deliver. How often do you do this? How often, when someone says, what's going on with this, you come up with a story? You tell yourself some sort of story that gets you feeling a little bit better in that moment. Now, I've done this hundreds, thousands of times, who knows, over my life. But the reality is, there are certain lies that we tell ourselves. There are certain things that we say that, frankly, just don't matter. Oh, I can't develop my body. Oh, I'm too old. Oh, I can't do this or that. Whatever it is, we constantly tell ourselves these things, and we are just drugging ourselves because we don't want to face the truth. And the truth is, we haven't applied the right techniques, the right tactics, the right strategies that have worked for our lives. Now, maybe, sure, you lost 20 pounds before and you gained 20 back. Maybe you lost 30 and you gained 40. Why haven't you evolved? Well, it has nothing to do with your age. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're a mom, a dad, a busy professional, whatever it is that you're telling yourself. It all has to do with the fact that you haven't figured it out yet. On today's Evolve podcast, we're going to discuss this concept. We are going to share some amazing results with you. And we're going to go through and just let this be like a charcuterie board of topics. You're going to get a little bit of cheese, a little bit of nuts. You're going to get a little bit of meat. And I don't know, who knows what else is in there. That's today on this episode of the Evolve Podcast.
Welcome to the Evolve Podcast. Evolve your body, evolve your mind, evolve your soul, and evolve your tribe. And now it's time to disrupt.
And with that, folks, we want to welcome you back to the Evolve Podcast, where evolved men and women come to disrupt, connect, and get inspired. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, MedOne Capital, for sponsoring the Evolve Podcast. We appreciate the support. The MedOne Group exists for the sole purpose of making needed medical equipment available to the healthcare industry. You can find more information at medonegroup.com. Now, I'm really excited about this the next piece because for our local listeners, so we are located in Sandy, Utah. We are an independent podcast. And for our local listeners, we've got a special deal through the month of September. We have partnered with our friends at Nautical Bulls in Sandy, Utah, and they are doing a promo for all of the Evolve listeners. Now, if you go into the Sandy location, which is about 21st South and 21st East and 94th South, I can't even get that out today, in the Smith's parking lot, you'll see Nautical Bulls. And you can use the code EvolveBOGO for a buy one, get one free acai bowl. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but for many, many years, I resisted the idea of getting an acai bowl. I've had these before, and I frankly have never enjoyed them until I went to Nautical Bulls. Now, let me be clear. Nautical Bulls is not paying me to say this. I actually went to them and said, I love your stuff so much. I want to give a gift to my listeners. What can we do? And so I want to thank Lene and Noah for giving us this amazing gift for our listeners. Use the code EvolveBOGO when you go in, and they're going to give you a buy one, get one. It's an amazing gift. And again, thank you, Lene and Noah, for letting us do this. Now, guys, I'm really excited today because joining me in the newly remodeled, renovated, and updated Evolve Studio is the one, the only queen of glutes herself, Shelby Castleton. Welcome.
Welcome to you. I'm
welcome
you onto your own podcast.
Thank you for welcoming me into my studio and onto the podcast. It's great to have you here in the studio.
It's great to be in the studio.
I mean, let's be honest. We've done a lot in the studio. For those of our listeners that follow our social media accounts, you'll notice a change in the tonality of some of the posts that we put out there because we are shooting those in the Evolve studio and we're shooting this podcast. This is the first ever shoot in the studio with the Evolve podcast. So
excited.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, let's talk real quick because I want to talk. This is going to be as I said, a charcuterie board.
Love that.
I don't even know if that's the right way to describe it, but it's my podcast and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a smorgasbord. Ooh, that's even more German. I like that. So I want to start with the acai bowls because we were talking before we started the recording.
Yes.
I think we're both addicted to these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to resist on the daily going. They're so good. The beach bowl. That's my
beach
favorite.
bowl?
The
Yep.
beach bowl.
Yep.
Get the beach bowl. It's heaven.
Now, see, I like the naughty bowl.
That
It's
one's
short for
delicious.
nautical. It's not like, oh, you're a naughty person. But I love that one because they grind the peanut butter up in the bowl, right? And it's amazing. I mean, now most people when they go to a acai place, they're having these big like soupy bowls,
Right.
and this is more like an
Oh,
ice cream type of
yeah.
thing.
So good.
There's no soy. There's no dairy. There's no gluten.
Gluten free.
These things are amazing, and I don't eat a lot of treats. I just in general, it's not that I don't like them. I love treats. This is one of those things that I eat, and afterwards I still feel amazing, like absolutely amazing.
I feel better, to be honest. Actually, you need to try, I don't know if your bowl, I don't think it does, but they have these coconut butter crumbles.
Oh, yes.
I could eat just a bowl of those. They're
Yeah.
so good.
I had a bite of my wife's the other day that had those in them.
Oh, they're heaven.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So we're addicted, and that's actually closer to your house than it is to mine. So you'd have to resist even more.
Yeah, we
right?
should probably go after this.
I think we need to. Yeah. But as soon as we're done, we're going to
Yes,
go get some nautical
exactly.
bowls.
Yes.
Well, for our listeners, again, go use the code EvolveBOGO and pick up a nautical bowl. Now, you said something, Shelby, because today, when we're recording this episode, it's the start of the football season here in Utah. I'm a huge University of Utah fan. My blood bleeds red, as they say, but you grew up rooting for the team down south, as we say here in Utah.
Yes. And I did. I grew up a BYU fan through and through, and actually attended every BYU possible. So
did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Like, let's say every BYU college?
Yeah. So I started at Idaho. I did one winter there and said, absolutely not.
That's a cold place.
This is not for me. I'm a California girl in Idaho. I remember opening my door. It was, I think, like negative something with the wind chill. It was definitely in the negatives. Opened my door, took one step, and just said, not today.
No way.
And I turned around and I went back to bed because it was so cold.
What's it? It's in Idaho. What's the name of it? Rexburg.
It's in Rexburg,
right?
yes.
So it's about what, halfway up the state?
I think. I mean,
it's pretty cold.
It's very cold. I've never felt anything like it. Everything freezes. Your nose hairs freeze, and then you walk in a building and then it unfreezes, and then your nose is just like running. Your eyelashes freeze, your hair freezes.
Frozen snow.
It is so cold.
The eyelash freezing is something I experienced for the first time on a work trip to Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was so cold. I walked outside and I had some friends. It was one of my first trips, business trips to Minnesota in the middle of the winter. And I think it was -10, -15. And then with the wind chill and everything, it dropped it down to about -30. And I had some friends say, hey, when you wake up in the morning, you're going to have to go get your car, like break into your car. And then once you break into your car, you're going to have to start it and let it sit there for about 30 to 40 minutes in order for it to defrost. I thought that was crazy. Well, sure enough, I go outside and here are a bunch of business travelers like myself in their pajamas and walking out to the car, and you've got to hack away with the business card or whatever you can to get in.
I'm being triggered right now. This is triggering me.
I apologize. Take a deep breath.
Yes.
Calm yourself. So then I get in the car, I turn it on, and everybody does the same thing. You turn it on, you go back in, you shower, you get ready for the day. You just leave your car on because that's the only thing that you can do to actually have everything melt before you go and do your thing. Somebody asked me one day, they're like, well, would somebody come and steal your car? I'm like, for what? Like, and where would they go? By the time you get out there, the car is just barely warmed up for you to go anywhere. And who's just driving around to go steal another car? I said, you don't understand. Until you're there and you feel that type of cold, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So you were in, was it BYU Idaho at the time?
Yeah, it's BYU Idaho. Yeah.
So when I got a scholarship there. I turned it down. I didn't go there, but at the time it was called Rick's College.
Yeah, Rick's.
It was still the same
My
thing.
My siblings all went to Rick's.
Okay.
And then it was, so I actually got a free ride for music there. So
I didn't know that. What did you do?
So I play the upright bass in the jazz band. That
Oh,
was,
right on.
yeah, that's what I did. So, but I did one winter and I said, this is not for me. So then I transferred to Hawaii and
BYU,
lived
Hawaii.
my best life. I failed all of school, but
Hey,
it was the best year of my life. So
if you fail in school, but you're living in Hawaii, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that's okay.
Okay, well, it was go to the beach and watch the boys surf and competitions or go to class.
Right.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, that's a tough
And I
decision.
actually, I didn't tell my parents, but I changed my major to Hawaiian studies so I could take like hula and I could take all the really fun classes.
So you could go study the Hawaiian boys.
Exactly.
Good.
And
Yeah.
literally all you can do with that major is teach Hawaiian studies at BYU Hawaii. So
Oh, good.
yeah, my parents were not thrilled when I told them that I did that.
So you've
It's fine.
shifted careers. You're not going towards Hawaiian
Yeah,
studies to teach at BYU Hawaii.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Now you're in a
Yes,
different
different
realm.
path.
Now
different
you had a dream back in the day because you had a doll, right?
I did.
So
Yes.
tell our listeners about this amazing dream doll that you
Yes.
had.
So we would go around to BYU football games and can't remember where I got her, but she was a BYU cheerleader Barbie. And that
Wow.
was my dream, was to be a Cougar cheerleader someday.
I
And
didn't even know that
yeah,
existed. I
yeah,
had no idea that there
yes.
was a BYU
Oh yeah. She
Barbie.
was adorable. And she had, because they wear like long sleeves.
Yes.
And so she had the full long sleeve top and the little cheerleader skirt with the big BYU on it. She was great.
Well, you
Yeah.
didn't quite make it.
Didn't quite make it.
I'm sorry.
Didn't quite make it. And then I married into a diehard Ute family. So
Yeah.
here we are. Now I have converted to red, but
Now for anybody that doesn't understand the deep rivalry between Utah and BYU, I mean it's like a when it comes to rivalry week, Michigan and Ohio, right? Or Ohio State. That's a pretty big one. As far as passion and almost hatred of the different teams, that Utah BYU is one of the top rivalries out there.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I realized that one of my friends in elementary school was a BYU fan, and I was so offended. I was so upset, and I looked at him. I said, Keith, I don't even know if I can be your friend anymore. He's like, well, and so we started arguing back and forth between who was better, Utah or BYU. And I finally said, because I had no idea where BYU was. This is how dumb and young we were. I had no idea that it was actually in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
Like I just, Utah, University of Utah, it's in Utah, right? That just made sense to my young mind.
Yes.
I finally ended the fight by looking at him and saying, well, if you like it so much, why don't you move to BYU? Thinking that this was in some far off land.
Well,
and he goes,
well, Utah County can.
I mean, it really kind of is. Yeah, that's true.
Just kidding.
And he looked at me and goes, well, I've been talking to my dad about that. We might. And then I kind of felt bad. I thought, oh, well.
Oh.
And then the next day we were playing basketball together on yeah, we were okay. Yeah.
Well, you should, watching a game when they played each other I got to sit through the game with my dad, who is a diehard BYU fan.
So he still is.
Oh yeah, still is to this day.
Does your dad and your husband, do they talk to each other?
It got a little rough at times, but we survived. Okay. And yeah, it's more of a joke. Now we can laugh about it, but it was a little rocky there for a minute. But no,
I laugh at BYU all the time, so it's okay.
Oh yeah. We can. They teased each other the whole game, so it was good.
That's great. My oldest brother, we disowned him for a while because he graduated from the University of Utah with his bachelor's, and he went to law school at BYU.
Yes, they do have a great law program.
I remember calling him up and I said, "What are you doing? You're betraying the family."
Oh, it felt
We have a history, like generations back, of going to the University of Utah. Funny. And so it took me a while to get over that. I'm not even joking about it. I could not believe that he would betray the family to go to this other